Yo, what's going on YouTube? How you guys doing? Just coming out with another deck video on our favorite boy, Law. So this video will be going over your searchers, how to search with Law now, and when you should search, how you should search, and the most opportune time for searching. Now, before we go into this, I'm going to show you my count for the deck, and then I'm going to explain to you, once you know your count, how you should be searching. So I play with one. I have this a little jumbled up, so let me actually fix this, because I've got some of my Land of Wano in my white beard and some of my white beard in my Land of Wano, but it's actually fine that I got that. So but to explain, your white beard count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 cards in your deck are Whitebeard. Keep that in mind. Then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With the inclusion of the 4 Izu, that's going to make another 16 of your cards are Land of Wano. And to your Supernova package, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. 21 of your cards are Supernova factions. So the Land of Wano to Whitebeard ratio is the same. So that means that your ability to pull from the deck with those are going to be the same. That means that your whiffing rate is going to be the same for both of these, as they will with this. Your whiff rate for this is going to be lower than it will be for these two, because you have more of these in the deck than you do these. It's just simply how it works. But to go ahead and give you guys an idea on how it is that you can avoid whiffing hard, I'm going to go ahead and go over this theory. I'm not the first person to craft this. I've actually seen this on the internet, but we'll go over it here momentarily as I'll go ahead and show you this. All right, so we have us a nice shuffled up deck here. I'm actually gonna go with a non-controlled, and then I'm gonna go into a controlled situation. So I'm just gonna grab this, and this. All right, so here's your controlled situation. And for demonstration purposes, we'll actually go ahead and exchange that for our other searcher, just so you have a better idea of what it is you want to be doing in situations such as this. Again, we'll be going over a non-controlled situation after we go over this one. This is more so you understand what it is you're trying to achieve. Now, with this version of Law, depending on how you want to play it, depends on how you want to progress. I highly recommend that you try and find your, at this point, Vista and your Otama. Those are the two things you really want to find. Of course, Law, but right now you have really good board control setup with these, as long as you can find your pieces. As long as you find your pieces, you can effectively control the rest of the game. So let's just say that this is my opening hand. As you can see, I have 1 Supernova, 1 Land of Wano, actually 2 Land of Wanos, and 3 Whitebeard Pirates. Now, as we said before, our count in the deck for Whitebeard Pirates was 16. Now, our count for Land of Wano was also 16. Our count for Supernova was 21. Now, with all that information, we now know that 3 Whitebeard cards are no longer in the deck, and we know that 1 Supernova card is no longer in the deck, and we know that 2 Land of Wano cards are no longer in the deck. Now, that means that the ratio for my Land of Wano and the ratio for my Whitebeard Pirates is the same. Generally speaking, if I'm going first, honestly, unless you just want to board build, I would not play your searchers. I wouldn't play this, or I wouldn't play this. I wouldn't even come close to using those. I would actually just go ahead and, if I'm playing first and I have no play, I wouldn't play anything. If I'm playing second, then I would just throw this down and call that a turn, and I take my first life. The reason that I would do this is because I don't have enough information about my deck currently to just search. And if I search now, yes, I might hit, but yes, I might whiff. Because if I'm turn 1 player, the only searcher that I can play anyway is going to be Izo. And as I already know, I have 2 Whitebeard cards in my in my hand. I have no idea how many Whitebeard cards are in my life. So my best bet is just hold off and then go ahead and see what I draw, just to kind of sort of give myself an idea of where things are going to go next. So again, let's just assume I'm turn 1 player. I didn't play anything. My opponent goes, I go, I draw a card. Now, I see the top card of my deck was Lana Wano. I see now that I have the potential to put 4 monsters on board later in this game. I'm actually going to just go ahead and place the 1. I'm still going to hold off on my searchers. I'm even still going to hold off on board building. Depending on what I am playing, I'm going to hold off on board building. If you are playing against Ace, no, you don't just want to start throwing 1-drops out there. Yes, you want to establish a board. Yes, you want to get as many creatures on board as possible to use for your law effect, but you also don't want to put those creatures in harm's way. And if you're playing against decks that can KO, such as red or black or Rebecca, then again, you don't want to be playing your 1-drop units early. You want to actually be holding those off until late game. You want to be forcing your opponent, especially in a Rebecca matchup, you want to be forcing them to use their events to lower the cost of your smaller 2 units, or you remove your smaller 2 units before they use to try to remove your 1-cost units. Because again, to play Rebecca, you'll want to make sure they're using all their resources on the not as beneficial units before you move on to the more beneficial units. So more than likely, I would have passed. I would have taken a life. I would have gotten a Vista. So that takes care of one of the searches. So now I actually can comfortably play this and care and not care at the same time what I get, because I got the piece that I wanted to find off of this. But let's just say that my opponent passes turn. It's my turn now. I've drawn a Supernova. Now keep in mind, I've just top decked 2 9 Land of Wano cards. That means that I would have had 2 9 Whitebeard cards that I would have searched had I played my Ezo turn 1. But now that I'm in such a comfortable position, I can actually choose still to hold off on board building, or I can go ahead and start building up that board. Keep in mind, you'll be on your 5-down turn. And let's see here. Again, you have options. You're okay to play the Momo. Actually, I wouldn't play the Momo unless you're ready to get the Momo sacrifice. I wouldn't play the Bind unless you're ready to get sacrifice. If you just want to board build, I highly recommend board building. Like I said, if you're in your 5-down turn, then it's 100% fine for you to play the Vista and establish the Vista this turn. And then it'd be fine for you to do something like establish your 2 Momos this turn. Now, your Momos, again, those are your sacrifice creatures. Those are the monsters you can play, and you don't mind if they get popped or if they get sacrificed. And on this turn, you're really just now establishing your board. Now, if your opponent uses resources to destroy your board, they're not putting units on the board. If they're not putting units on the board, they can't go for your life. And so your opponent making sure law can't shambles is more important than making sure that they can go for their life. So they may just prioritize getting rid of your board instead of prioritizing your life. But anyway, if they decide to prioritize your life, remember you're in a position right now to where if you KO the creature and you got a 2K counter, they don't have any kind of thing on the backswing, you're actually good to go ahead and either protect yourself from that life or take the life. It's optional at this point because you're going to gain so much advantage in your upcoming turn. Now, let's just say that you decide to take the life. And you see that it's a Land of Wano card. So now you know that you had a Whitebeard card, Land of Wano card in your deck. Let's just assume, for purposes of this game, that you start off again with 2 Whitebeards, 2 Land of Wanos, and 1 Supernova. You've seen a Whitebeard and you've seen a Land of Wano in that package. So depending on this next search, is going to let me know that the probability of what it is in my life. And we're going to check and see if those cards are the probability that I said before I go ahead and take those last 2 life. So now that I have this board established, I have these 2 Momos established, I noticed 2 things. That I've seen Supernova and I've seen Supernova draw, and I've seen a Land of Wano draw. That means my Supernova count is still higher than my Land of Wano and still my Whitebeard Pirates. I could play my Land of Wano, but I know that my Land of Wano is low because I've seen so many Land of Wano cards already. So instead, I think that the best move to play right now will be go ahead and summon and use your Bonnie. I say use your Bonnie first. You can use any of these searches first. I would say use the Bonnie first, simply because of what I've seen so far. And because I know that I have more Supernovas in the deck than I do anything else. So we're gonna look at the top 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, OP04.5, and I was correct. You had more supernovas in the deck. Also, like to keep in mind that you could have played the Ezo turn 1 and possibly have gotten. No, you would have just ran into an Ezo. So yeah, if I would have played that Ezo turn 1, I would have just ran into Ezo, or I would have ran into. Yeah, I would have ran into Ezo, which would have sucked. But I'm going to take the. I'm going to take this. Sorry, I got a little distracted by everything that had been going on here. So I'm going to take the Luffy. Then I'm going to place the rest at the bottom. Now, keep in mind what you did place at the bottom. You actually want to be making sure you're paying attention to that. You want to make sure that you paid attention to the fact that you bottom decked 3 Whitebeard cards and 1 Supernova cards. That means you hit no Land of Wano cards. You also didn't hit your Law. Now, this is the gamble that you're going to be playing, because at this point, you can start using your Momos, but you're going to run the risk of losing your Laws or bottom decking those. And because, again, your Land of Wano count is so low, and there's not anything in Land of Wano that you necessarily are looking for, you can. It's really one of those up to you kind of moments. You're really hoping to see that loss so that you can go ahead and bounce and get the most out of your Vista, but that's fine that you can't go ahead and do that. Again, we're just going to go ahead and use a Momo effect to try and search a Land of Wano now. And now again, I've seen a lot of Land of Wano. I saw no Land of Wano in that pass. I'm not saying that the probability of me seeing Land of Wano is high in this pass. As a matter of fact, I would even go so far as to say it is still a 50-50 at this chance. But I would still shoot for it, because 50-50 is way better than the earlier odds of not that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then results is Land of Wano was in fact in there, because again, keep in mind the cards that I had in my hand, keep in mind the cards that I already seen. Probability of me seeing Land of Wano was still pretty high, and of course I seen Land of Wano. At this point in time, you can take whatever it is you think that you may need. Keep in mind that you didn't bottom deck a Vista, you did bottom deck a Zoro, and you did bottom deck a Jozu. So you can't count on another 2K counter, but maybe you might see your blocker Marble, you might see a 5-cost Marco if you're trying to look for that. But again, this isn't about what we're looking for right now. It's just about keeping in mind what I've seen and what's left in the deck. So I've seen many Otamas, so I know that there's not a whole lot of Otamas left in the deck. I know there's only 2 more Otamas, so I can go ahead and try for another search with my Momo, or I can go ahead and use my leader ability right now to go ahead and try and shambles out one of these cards for one of my rushers, so I can go ahead and start applying some pressure. I can also go ahead and make sure I can get KO unit while using him as an attacker. If I didn't want to go ahead and use another Momo, or if I didn't want to go ahead and leave this Bonnie out. I wouldn't want to leave this Bonnie out, that's for sure. So I'll go ahead and actually call the Bonnie back out. I would go ahead and call the Bonnie back in. I'm sorry, let me go ahead and put these back at the bottom. Keep in mind that you did bottom deck 2 Supernova, 2 Land of Wano, and 1 Whitebeard. Again, that's going to be important, because you want to make sure that you're stacking these accordingly. Because if you're not stacking these accordingly, you're going to come into a situation where you're going to forget what you had put in what order, and that's really going to suck for whenever it is you want to search later on and you want to know what it is you search. Keep in mind that you searched a grand total of twice so far, so you bottom deck 10 cards. So you should keep in mind that you put several Zoros at the bottom of your deck, and you put several Land of Wano cards at the bottom of the deck. So know that those cards aren't cards you're going to see, so you shouldn't be trying to look for those cards. Instead, you should be trying to go for other strategies. But again, you can use this other Momo, but because of the amount of Land of Wano that I saw with that first set of hands and a lot of Land of Wano that I've seen thus far, I wouldn't want to risk it, especially since right now at this point I'm trying to find Law. I don't want to risk bottom decking Law, so I'm not going to activate the other Momo. I'm just going to leave my board state as is. This board state protects my life, because 9 times out of 10 your opponent is going to want to KO this creature so that you don't get any more value out of the Vista. Whenever Vista does start to go back and forth, they'll probably KO the Momo because they don't want you to get more value out of Momo. So again, you've created a board state to where your life is safe. Even if your opponent does swing at your life, you have the counter power in hand to prevent them from getting there, because you have a 1K, 2K, another 2K, another 2K, another 1K, plus a Rush Luffy for later on in the game whenever you're trying to push for the win. This is why I say that you need to start holding off on your searches instead of playing them right away. Because yes, you could hit with them right away, but you can also whiff with them right away. Your whiff probability is a lot higher at the start of the game than it is midway through the game. I say this because you'll have knowledge of what you've already not seen. Now again, I really want to see a law, so I know that I'm not going to hit this Momo one more time out of fear of hitting a law. I've already missed law twice on my searches, so I'm not going to try and go for missing him again by trying to hit for another Momo. So again, let's just say that my opponent focuses my board. They try and get rid of my board state and get rid of these two creatures that don't take my life. Again, earlier I said that in life, based off of everything that we've seen here and everything that I've bottom deck off the bottom of the deck, I am almost certain that these are two supernova cards based off of everything that I've seen here so far. We can check that later, check our gamble, check our life, check and see what everything that we've had so far. But if I had to guess, I would say that your last two life are in fact supernova cards. So that means they could be your law. That means that they can be anything based off of what you've seen so far. But let's just say we go back to our turn, we draw. I'll probably draw a law. I don't, so I was wrong. But anyway, I've got two searches in my hand. Again, I haven't seen a law yet. I know that I bottom decked a lot of different supernova cards and whatnot, but I know I haven't seen the one that I'm trying to look for. So I'm going to actually go ahead and play my Bonnie first, because again, I want to make sure that I'm not missing from my law. And I know that it's a possibility a law could be in this next top 5, seeing as I bottom deck 15. I've already been through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 cards. I bottom deck 15 cards. None of them were law. So I know there's a high probability that I might see a law. I know it's high probability. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm just saying it's high probability that you might see a law in these next few set of cards. So we're going to see. And as I said, we saw multiple laws. Ha ha ha. But we're going to take the one that we need. Now, keep in mind that you just bottom decked 3 restand laws. So don't count on getting restand law anytime soon. Don't count on restand law being your savior. Don't count on searching for restand law. If you're going to be searching now know that you're just searching for a blocker law or chopper or your Capone Bages or something else in that supernova range, because again, you know that you bottom deck 3 Zoros, you bottom deck 3 restand laws, and those are really high impact for supernova pieces. At this point, now you can start working on KOing units and decreasing your opponent's board by playing the Otama and start bouncing back the Vista instead of bouncing back the Zoro, because you want to use the Vista to help you control the board state. So that means you're going to go that into that into that. Or maybe even just because you want to re-get your Bonnie back, you won't actually return the Otama, you'll return the Vista, and then go ahead and return the Bonnie for the Vista so that you can keep Bonnie off the board and keep her in play and in rotation, so you can keep finding your supernova pieces, because at this point, the only thing that you want to see now is law, so that you can just keep on recycling this card combination right here, so you can keep on the board pressure up. At this point in time, your opponent can try and swing at your units, but they'll be disadvantaging themselves by doing so, because you have so much on board right now that can protect you. And again, you can go ahead and switch that Momo. I highly recommend that you tap that Momo and use it, no matter if you whiff or not. Just use it. Out of everything that I've seen, you didn't see any Land of Wano in that last search, but you have to also keep in mind that you've already seen a lot of Land of Wano. So the probability of you seeing Land of Wano is actually still high, because guess what Land of Wano creature you haven't seen yet? Green Ezo. So I'm pretty sure, because I haven't seen Green Ezo, there's a lot of green coming up. So I'm going to probably see some green laws, maybe some Bonnies, but I know that there might be a Land of Wano green in this next top 5. I'm going to go ahead and use Momo and see if I'm correct. All right, and there were actually 2. But again, the probability of you seeing a green Land of Wano was pretty high because of everything that you had saw thus far in your top searches. You already knew that, hey, I haven't seen Green Ezo yet, and I've just went through this, and this. The probability of me using the Momo and seeing that seems pretty good to me. And if I don't see it right now, then again, probability is that some gun is in life. And as many times as you've seen me search, the probability that there are laws in my life makes me feel like it's really, really high. So again, That's pretty much how you want to go about your searches. You want to be timed. You want to be thinking about what it is that you went through already. And you want to make sure that you're keeping these things in mind before you just start going searching willy-nilly. Now, if you're playing these, you're really just playing things. Now, like I said, since you already have all of your combo pieces, in case you lose your combo pieces, you just want to pick them up again with all of these, because that's all that they're doing now. They're just reoccurring everything that's already on board, so you can just keep doing what you've already been doing, which is Automa Vista, Automa Vista, Automa Vista, and just keep on popping. If you can manage to keep this on board, you can just use this in tandem to just keep up the tempo, keep your opponent trying to keep at your board instead of keeping at your life. Again, you can start playing these, but you don't really care what you get. But you know that you haven't seen Blocker Marco, so you know that Blocker Marco is probably within the next 10 cards that you're about to play. This is undeniable. This is fact, because you've went through, I think, like a 25 so far. We know that there's got to be a Marco coming up within the next 10 cards. But we're going to play one Ezo just to see if he's in the top 5. He's not in the top 5, but we did, in fact, see a Whitebeard Pirate card. But I'm going to go ahead and check my top 10 just to see if Blocker Marco is, in fact, in my top 10. And he was not. So he's somewhere in there. He's got to be in that next set of 5. Again, I didn't have a certain number of cards in, so yeah, I was wrong, but that's fine. You can be wrong. I know that there's a high probability that he's going to be within that next 5. And if he isn't in the next 5, I did see one Law in there. We're going to go ahead and check this. I said it's 2 Supernova. Based off of everything that I've seen, I'm actually going to change my answer to Supernova Whitebeard. And the answer is... Ladies and gentlemen, if you start playing this deck long enough, I promise you, you will know where everything is. You will know where your cards that you're looking for are. You will know when to search. You will know when not to search. If you just hold off on playing your cards and just think about all the cards that you've seen thus far, I promise you, you will never whiff when playing Law. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great night, and I hope to see you later. Peace. This video was supposed to end a little bit ago, but I gotta stop it.